Hey everybody, it's Retro Jojo back again with another video, and today I want to go over 3 of the games that I had talked about in a previous set of shorts that I talked about doing and going over, talking about, and we may talk about a couple of other things as well. Sorry it took so long to get back into the swing of everything, but I finally got around to it, so I'm happy about that, and I hope everyone else is as well, and hope everyone's doing well. So, first game we'll talk about is Star Fox 64. I don't know if it's going to pick this up very good. There's a little bit of a glare. There we go. So, Star Fox 64. This copy's not in the best condition, but that's okay. When you're a kid and you're playing it a lot, you know, you don't really care. I actually got that game at a local rental store that closed a couple years back. Called Video Warehouse, and there's actually one in another town over, a couple towns over from where I'm at, and there was a Video Warehouse there that I had no idea even existed until it was closed. Wish I could have went to that closeout sale, but anyway, getting into the first game though, Star Fox 64. It was released in April 27, 1997, and I do have notes for this. I'm just letting everybody know I'm not experienced enough in it or know enough about the release dates and things like that and developers. But it was developed by Nintendo in April 27, 1997. It's a great game. It follows Fox McCloud after presumably his father was murdered by Andros when he tried to stop Andros from taking over the whole galaxy. There are other characters. There's Peppy Hare, Falco, and Slippy. Couldn't remember her name or his name for a minute. I believe Slippy's a he. I believe so. You know, I'm not saying it's a girl, but anyway, I digress on that. But the game follows Fox and his posse, as we'll call them, and you go through different levels, but you can get a different ending and a different path. So it gives it a lot of replayability, in my opinion. The graphics look really good. It plays very well. It is a great game, and it has fun multiplayer. But also with the story mode, it can go really fast, or you can get stumped on some levels. There's like lava planets, there's planets that are levels that are in space rather, there's levels that are on, a planet that looks kind of like Earth and things like that. And then there's actually bad guys. There's Wolf that works for Andros. There's Andrew, who is Andros's, I'm presuming it's his nephew, because no spoilers, but when you shoot him down, he says Uncle Andros, so that would be his nephew. There's Leon and Pigma. Got them all right. I couldn't remember. I was worried I wasn't going to remember. Oh, and did I say Leon? He's a chameleon. I don't remember if I did or not. But you do run into all of them, and you can actually run into Wolf in the game more than once. Like I said, there's different paths based on how well you play, how many times you die, how many secrets you unlock, which I thought was unique at the time, because when I played it, it was about maybe 99. So it was released in 97. I was born in 96. I played it by 99, 2000. Might have even been 2001. I was a little late to getting the PS2 and the PS1 and things like that. I didn't really get into that. I played the 64 for years, and I still play it to this day because it's one of my favorite consoles of all time. But it's a great game. And there's even different. I will say this: there's bosses in every level, and like I said, there's different boss fights too in different places that you can visit. You can change the course. You can go back and replay a level, but you will lose a life if you're trying to get a better score. Sometimes, if you don't want to replay the entire game story mode, you can choose to lose a life. But you're losing a life that at the end you're probably going to want more lives, because based on how you finish it, Andros could be a I believe you can look like a mech head type thing. You can get one where it's just like the brain and eyeballs, which is terrifying. And then I believe there's another one. He could just be a skeleton, I want to say. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but I can't remember exactly. I think there's 2 or 3 different variations of Andross. I do know that. And I've actually never, I think I've gotten the brain one time. And every other time I get like the mech looking one that's underneath there, which is still cool. But it's interesting to see just his eyes and his brain. It's kind of, if you're 8 or 10 years old, that's kind of terrifying. Your final boss turns into just a brain. And I mean, it's got the like stems from the brain to the eye and everything. It's not just separate, like floating. It looks like connective tissue. So it's not, but it's a game for everybody. It's actually got, I thought I would mention this. So I don't know if you can see it on this cartridge, but it actually says kids to adults, which is an old rating, then content rated by the ESRB, and it's an old rating or way of rating games rather that they did back in the day, and there's even older games that date back before the 64, before the NES or during the NES. Maybe not NES, but Super Nintendo era, like right before. I can't remember exactly when the Sega. I was gonna say Sega Genesis, Sega CD. They had an older rating system, and then this is kind of a byproduct of that. Before they had, I believe they might have had E rating at the time, but kid to adult was kind of, this is for everybody. This is for anybody. Anybody can pick this up. Anybody could play it. There's not a lot of difficulty spike. I will say, for a kid to adult game or a KA game from back in the day, it does have a little bit of a difficulty spike, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think it does. For a kid to adult game, it definitely has a little bit of a difficulty spike. So, if you can get a copy, I believe it's on Switch Online as well with the N64 expansion pack. Last time that I looked, I believe it was on there, and it's a really good game, and it has the rumble pack enabled, so you can enable the rumble pack, and like when you get hit or whatever, it rumbles in the controller, which I thought, that's standard for most people now. We have motion controls and everything else, but back then that was innovative. That was new. It was innovative, everything. So you took what you could get, and that's what we had. That was the technology back then. Take me back, because we're not even going to get into AI and everything else on here. Robots taking over. Yeah. So the multiplayer, I think there's a time attack mode as well, but the multiplayer is really good. It's just fun dogfight type, multiplayer, 1 versus 1, or even more than one. I have a split screen. So it's a great game. Check it out if you can. The next one, this will be number 11. That was number 12. This is number 11. And I know everybody's going to probably, rip me a new one for saying this is this low on the list. But I feel like it being this low on the list really is a testament and a testimony to how great the games were at the time. For the N64, they were just pumping out hit after hit after hit, in my opinion. I enjoyed the N64, and that's why I still play it. That's why I still love it. I can pop it in, and then 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm done playing. And I'll start playing at like midnight sometimes even earlier than that, sometimes at 8, and it's like 2, and I'm like, what happened? Anyway, but this is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Some people just call it Star Wars Racer. That's what everybody called it back then. And there's an arcade version of this game that came out as well. I played the crap out of it, and if anybody remembers Star Wars Trilogy Arcade, I played that too. Had to have a step stool, but I played it, and I even beat it a couple times as a kid, which is really cool. But Star Wars Episode 1 Racer was released in April of 1999 by LucasArts Gaming, or it says on there LucasArts or LucasArts Gaming. And by the way, I want to mention this. There's no copyright infringement intended. I'm not trying to copyright anything. I'm not trying to, without citing is, in school you had to do the works cited type of thing, and for like book reports and things like that. That's what I want to do here. I just want to say all the respectful owners. I'm not trying to make any money off of the names or the brands or whatever, what have you. But yeah, just naming facts about it, and that's who it's attributed to. So, but Episode 1 Racer has a really good and near place in my heart for gaming, because it was so fast at the time. Like it's pod racers. If you've seen Phantom Menace, Episode 1 Phantom Menace, then you've seen Anakin, Sebulba, and some of the other characters racing, and getting in crashes and explosions and just destruction. Tusken Raiders were shooting at them. There's none of that in the game. There's in the movie there's Jawas on the sidelines. There's people standing on the sidelines. There's people in stands. There are like NPCs in the stands, but I also want to mention that in the arcade version, there's pre-rendered like cutscenes. There's like full cutscenes for each planet that it shows. It's not present on the N64 version, but that's okay. You can actually buy the one that has the cutscenes. Looks a little bit better, if not a lot better, in my opinion, than the 64 one does. Now, if you have an expansion pack, it does look better. I had a friend that had one, and I didn't believe him at the time, but he was like, man, it'll look a lot better with the, if it supports it. And I was like, there's no way it'll, make it look that much better. There's not much, it can't be that big of a difference. But it wasn't extremely different, but it did look better. So, there's a couple games on the N64 that have to have it to run, and then some of them it'll just up the graphics some, make it look better, smoother textures and edges and things like that. But yeah, Episode 1 Racer has a time attack mode, of course. It has a tournament mode, which is how you unlock different characters and get money to purchase different parts. I think it's dud bolts is what they're called on Tatooine, because Republic credits are no good out here. Well, like I was trying to do Watto, it didn't. It kind of sounded Italian. I regret absolutely nothing. But anyway, yeah, you can upgrade your pod with the dud bolts, and that you collect or different races. If you get first place, you're gonna get more things like that. You can unlock different racers, and then there's different like circuits that you can unlock. So like if you finish one and you get, I believe it's first place in every race, then you unlock the next one. Then you can unlock maybe 2 different circuits, and it ups the difficulty every circuit. So there's like less and less places that you visit in each circuit, because it gets progressively more difficult. And it's fast. It's so fast. You're going 690 plus miles an hour. I know, like games look fast nowadays, but this game felt fast back in, what did I say, 99? You can't say nothing else about it. It's a masterpiece. It's Star Wars. It has original, music. It sounds just like John Williams, which he did. It's his music. Put it on the cartridge itself and was actually conducting it. It feels very Star Wars. That's all I can say about it. You get to see familiar faces, Anakin, Sebulba. There were no different versions. I was going to mention that if there's any different versions of anything that come out, I just want to mention that. I will talk about that and things to that nature. But there wasn't, other than, like I said, there was the arcade version, which was a little different, and it had controls. You grab a hold like in the pod racer. So you would, accelerate like this and then pull back with brake, and you'd hit the thing, and then it had buttons and things like that, like your boost. On the 64, you hold I didn't even know this until later in life, because I played it when I was a kid a lot with my brothers, one of my brothers and my cousin, I should say, and some friends and things like that, things of that nature. And we played it a lot, and it was fun. And they normally beat me, but that's because they were way older than me. Um, Not saying they're old. They still got, Lord willing, they got a lot of years left. That's all we can hope for, right? But anyway, uh, just a great game. But like I was saying, I remember figuring out for the first time that the boost, you actually hold the. It's like this. I don't have the 64 controller with me. If I would have thought about it, I would have brought it out with me. But you hold the control stick. If you've ever seen a 64 controller, it's got the control stick in the middle, and then it's like, I'll do like a outline, I guess. It's almost looks like the controller itself. I'm not even kidding. Looks like 3 bananas conjoined together. It's got like the middle piece. That's what it looks like. 3 pieces of a banana conjoined, and that's what the controller looks like. In my opinion, that's what it looks like. Then there's it's almost like a little round piece in the middle, and then it works. You know, you learn how you adapt. You learn how to use it if you like to play the games that are on the 64. But you would push up on this, and all the while have to hit the boost button. So you have to rev it up, basically, essentially with the stick, still steering at the same time. It took a lot of practice. Once I figured it out, I practiced it, and I didn't even realize that. And I believe they still use that same mechanic from the 64, even though it's the arcade version, on the Switch version. So that's really cool. The Switch version was released in a 2-pack, which that's the one that I have, and then there's a 4-pack. And I will say this, limited run, oh no, there's 5 games on the other one. Sorry, excuse me, which I didn't even know existed at the time, and I've recently seen it when I was looking. I believe it was Amazon, maybe. I was looking at Star Wars games and things like that, Star Wars merch, Episode 1 merch, things like that. And I saw it and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. It might have even been Facebook I don't know. It was something like that. Anyway, and I was like, wow, there's 5, and it's cool that I have 2 of them. The other one that's on there with Racer is Republic Commando, which if you know anything, you know I've done a whole video on it. If you've never seen it, go back and watch it if you like Republic Commando. But yeah, it's a great 2-pack. And then I have another 2-pack that's Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. I almost said Knights of the Old Republic. That's wrong. Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast follows Kyle Katarn, and then another one that's Jedi Academy. So I have that one and the other one. So I have 4 games just on the Switch. That's really cool to have, though, to have the different old games that you used to be able to play on the Switch or something else. But I was going to say Limited Run Games also did a release of it, and it's a 64 cartridge, and it looks like this. But then it's really cool, but it's very expensive. I don't have one. It's blue, like the whole thing is blue, and then it has a label just like this, the front label, which if you can see it is pods. I was going to talk about the Star Fox one. There's not a whole lot to talk about. It has one of the robots on the front. It is what it is. It's iconic, just like all the rest of the labels, in my opinion. You know, they have their own look and aesthetic to them and what they're trying to convey, what the game is essentially about. But it looks like that, but then it comes in the episode 1 with the font for the figures and the, Darth Maul face, the iconic face you've seen back then when the figures released, when the film released. And then episode 1 written on it just like a figure, but it's from Limited Run Games, and it runs on an N64. I would never open it. I would leave it on my wall or in my collection or in a box somewhere, and one day show it to my children if or when I do have a kid or 2 or whatever's meant to happen. But I could show it to them one day. Hey, this is what the games used to look like. They look like, cards, like, cartridges with like a reader piece in it. It's like a motherboard type of thing. I just think that's interesting to be able to go back and look at that when we'll have like robots walking around and things like that, probably. Just interesting. That's just me personally. I like keeping, it's not just gaming, it's history, in my opinion, and to me. And it means something to me, so maybe it means something to them. But anyway, let's get to the next game. Oh, before we do, I wanted to say something about Episode 1 racer, before I move on, I meant to say it before I was saying that I was moving on, but then, my brain kind of reset a little bit. There are different planets. So there's Tatooine, obviously, with the Bunta Eve, feeling aesthetic to it. And then there's Malastare and Uvu 4, which I thought was really interesting because the game's rated E and that's a prison. But hey, it's Star Wars, right? It's Star Wars and it's canon. So you have to put it in there. I just thought that was interesting. It's a maximum security prison and there's a literal, I don't know, I just think that's interesting. People really it didn't bother them back then. It didn't. It was really cool, and they did a great job on all the levels, the level design, the look, the feel, everything. There's so many different planets, so many different looks and aesthetics that get all that right. Just a great game. If you've never played it, go back and play it because it's a lot of fun, especially with friends. So check it out. And then the last one for this video, we'll be doing like a couple each video. So yeah, the last one at number 10 is another Star Wars game. And I didn't even plan for them to get all coupled together. It just kind of happened this way. This cartridge is really beat up, but Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo, it might be beat up, but you know what? Dang it, it looks good. It's got the N1 on it. It's got the font. It's iconic. And when you start it up, I'll never forget. I just want to say this. It has the Duel of Fates that kicks in when you cut this cartridge on. And it takes me back to a better and simpler time. Just when everybody could get along. I'll say this. Everybody, at least when I was a kid, and as I've gotten older, I've realized that we still can. We can make the world better. You just have to choose peace for yourself first, and then don't disturb other people's peace. That's something that I was just thinking about as I was talking about gaming, because that's something that has always brought me and my friends together. So, gaming, and I'll say this, this is a side note before we talk about Battle for Naboo, but it's kind of just a little intermission from gaming for a second. If you want somebody to get into what you like or to talk about what you like, you first have to understand something that they like. Ask them what they like. Just choose kind over being cool all the time. It's the way to go, in my opinion. I just want to encourage everybody. I just thought it just was on my mind, and I thought I'd share a little bit of positivity. And don't judge anybody else. If you feel judged, or if you feel like something's unfair, somebody's just ask them about it. Don't be, you don't have to be rude, but I'm just saying, love people and never judge a book by its cover. There's people that are good people, and there's people that are bad people. Some look normal and some look, I wouldn't say abnormal, but just different. They just look different. I mean, if you look at me, I look a little bit different, but that's okay. And that's all right. Just choose kindness. That's all I'm going to say. So getting back to what I was talking about, it takes me back to a simpler time. And you can see that N1 there in the middle, and this is a T-rated game. We're getting into the T-rated stuff. The last one was E. The first one was kid to adult. We're progressively going more towards M, but there's actually not a lot of M-rated games on my full list. The whole continuity, there's maybe 2, I believe. 2 or 3, something like that. But yes, Battle for Naboo, released in December 15th, 2000, by LucasArts Gaming, LucasArts, whatever you want to call it, and THQ. They collaborated and worked together on this project. And there's another game that I'm going to talk about in another video that this is very close and akin to. If you know, you probably already have guessed it. Let me know if you did in the comments if you feel like it's something you want to do. The Battle for Naboo, it follows also along the same line of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. It follows that loosely. I will say loosely. You get to play as this pilot who works for the Naboo Royal Guard or security or whatever you want to call it, and you get to fly an N1. You fight against battle droids, droidicas, the Staps, the I can't remember the armored. Is it AAT? I think that's right. Something like that. It's not an AT-AT because that's later in Star Wars. I believe it's an AAT. I'm not sure, but it's the tanks that the battle droids use. I can't remember if that's exact. I think that's right. Anyway, but you fight it, and some of even the enemies are even on foot, and you get to use not only the N1 and not only the. I think there's a heavy version you get to use. It's blue, which is awesome. It's my favorite starship of the Naboo Royal Guard and the Queen's Security Force that they can use, other than, of course, Queen Amidala's ship, Padme's ship, which is straight silver and just huge and has a bunch of compartments and has really good deflector shields and things like that on it. And it shines, it shimmers, it's sleek looking, and you know that that's her when she arrives anywhere in the film. That's her ship. But anyway, get back to the game. You also get to use speeders, and you get to use staps also. Now, as far as the look of the game, when you're in the air, it looks better. And I believe it does also take advantage of the expansion pack and make the textures look better and things like that. But, however, if you're playing in the air, it looks really good, with the droid starfighters flying around, different ships, good versus bad. It looks really good. It's really fast-paced feeling. But when you're on those ground missions, Lord have mercy. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But Lord have mercy. Did they even try to make the characters? I'm laughing because it's funny to me. Because someone else pointed this out, another YouTuber that I watched, and I didn't realize it until I tried to play it again. And holy crap. It looks bad. Like the vehicle textures are really good. The explosion effects are okay. The music is pretty good for the game. It's Star Wars. It has that feel and aesthetic to it. But oh my goodness. The characters, the NPC models, they look like somebody cut a piece of cardboard and stuck it onto the staff or into the... It doesn't even look like a action figure or anything. It doesn't even look like it's... It does not. It looks pretty rough when you're in a vehicle. Now, the characters that are on land, they don't look too bad because they do move a lot. But when you're on something like a vehicle, it'll move and it looks... Sometimes it'll even look like it glitches or something like that. It's really silly to me, but it's just something I thought I would point out. It looks like a paper cutout. They did try. But I feel like at the time, 2000, it was released in December of 2000. This is at the end, towards the end of the N64's life cycle. Before, PS2, original Xbox, GameCube, all, their system would be the GameCube came out next. And it when it even released and had the release titles for the GameCube looked light years better than Battle for Naboo. That's all I'm saying. The gameplay is great. The story mode loosely follows Episode 1 Phantom Menace. And that's about the extent of what the game is. It has a single player. I don't think it has a multiplayer. I don't believe so. You can unlock different vehicles as well. You can even unlock some of the original trilogy vehicles, like X-Wing, TIE Fighter, I believe, which is interesting to see in an Episode 1 era. It's really cool. Just very, very cool. I think you can unlock a car too and use it as a ship, which is really cool. Always cool to see that. They did that in later games in a later title or actually on the 64, it's a predecessor. On the GameCube, it's an after Battle for Naboo. not same developer, not same game, uh, but just Battlefront. Just know if you play Battlefront and Boost, a blast to play. Is just not up to par of what I think some of the other games that are Star Wars that I'll be talking about, and even when I do another list that I think are all that great. I mean, it's good, but that's why it's so low on this list, because it's good, but it's not essentially great. I love Star Wars, but I had to rank them this low because, like I said, there's so many good ones on the 64, so many hits in my opinion. And that's, again, this is all my opinion. This is what I think. It's not maybe what you think, but it's what I think. And everybody is entitled to their opinion. And that's, I'm just sharing it with you guys. So let me know if there's some other videos that you might like to see, or different content, different game systems. If you want me to talk about different games just like I'm doing with this series, let me know. And before I go, I want to talk about one other thing. I have gotten a camera, so I'm not using my phone. I am currently, but for my YouTube videos, I had to do that to start out. But, however, do have a small, like, active style camera, and I will be using it. And I put it on my Facebook, I believe. But me and my wife will be doing a like vlog type of thing later on. It needed an SD card, and I was not aware of that. I thought it came with one, and it did not. So I will have to get that before I can do that, and before I can use it for this channel for Retro JoJo. We're still determining the name, a design for that channel as well, like a kind of like how I have my logo. We're trying to figure all that out still, working out all the kinks of how to use the camera. I mean, I know how to use a camera, but I mean, how can you upload it from the camera? Do you have to store it, then put it into a computer? We'd have to do all that. We'd have to upload them and edit them and things like that. And we're working on what we can do next going forward to get that channel going as well, and to use that camera, said camera and tripod and everything for this channel, so I can continue to do my channel as well. We'll have 2 channels, and that'll be essentially what we'll be doing. So I hope everyone's doing well, and until we meet again, may the force be with you, and everybody be safe, and peace, love, and joy. I'll see y'all later.